We're going to get started. All right, Jill and Mary. All right. I know that's the hardest part of my job every month is getting you guys to stop talking after I release you. It's like releasing the hounds. Just kidding. But I promise, I know that is literally the most favorite part of Foundress, so I will give you time. We always give you time afterwards to also connect because that's why we're here, so it's great.
Somebody was calling you as potential spam.
I hate potential spam. The worst.
You heard about your car insurance lately, or?
It's either car insurance or student loans.
Buying your house.
Student loans.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. I don't have those, so. Anyway, okay. I am so honored to introduce you to. Jill and Mary are really amazing. If you have not yet met them, you will know who they are in about 2 minutes, and they will fill your souls to the core. So we are so excited to have you guys speak today. And one of the things that I think Lindsay and I love so much, besides you are mentoring her daughters, Lindsay's daughters, but they basically kind of do similar things that we do here at the Foundress, but for young girls. I'm a mama of 4 boys, so I've been begging them to also have a boys branch of their business. So if you know of any men that would like to help them, that'd be great. My children need it as well. But they just kicked off their first summer camp ever, which is so exciting. Yes, woo! Snaps, that's right. So exciting. They had, how many women or girls?
This will be a part of our presentation, so I'm not going to spill the tea just yet.
I'm so sorry.
Hold on to that number. Are you
Suspense. We like to create some suspense here. This was planned. Okay, well, there was an unknown number of teen girls that got to be blessed by them. But what they do is mentor these young girls and empower them and make them feel very capable and supported. And it's just we love it so much because that is definitely something that we obviously want to do here as well. So get ready. You're gonna laugh. You may cry. I don't know. During this presentation, you may laugh and cry at the same time. You might pee your pants. It's all safe and it's all okay. But apparently, I don't want to ruin your introduction. So I'm gonna just hand it over to Jill and Mary, and I think they both should turn that on. I don't think so. Can they both be on at the same time? Okay, we're good. Okay,
Testing.
Let's give it up for Jill and Mary.
Thank you, Coley.
With a microphone comes great responsibility.
Oh my gosh.
Even though you guys didn't invite us, thanks for having us.
Wow. Okay, we're going to take a quick second we're sitting at this table, but we want to take a moment to take you all in. As much as we're so excited to be here, this is an honor for us. So Lindsay and Coley, thank you for trusting us. I don't know what you guys got yourselves into, but we are so honored and excited to be here.
And I thought I was just humid, but really I am just sweaty.
I know, is anybody else like sweating? Is it just us? Okay, it's a little warm in here? Not warm, but muggy. Okay, fantastic.
Muggy. It's just us.
All right.
We're muggy.
We're a little muggy, our mug shots. Well, let's look at these mugs. You guys, hi!
I'm going to prep Jill because she's very handsy. You will
I am
see
handsy.
it, and she's going to go like this a lot. So we're going to make sure
I'm
we're
Italian.
over-
Any other
we're over
Italians?
here.
We talk with our hands. All right, it's part of who I am. I'm Jill. This is my best friend, my counterpart, my business partner. This is Mary. We own a company, I know we've already introduced ourselves, called Girls Mentorship. And we empower and inspire girls to be the best version of themselves. So not only do we own this awesome business, we also have a podcast. And we do these type of conversations with different organizations as well as teams. And we're super excited to be here.
And because we're up here speaking, we thought we'd put professional speakers up there too.
Because we get to say whatever we want, you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's a little hint, it's your business. You get to do what you want in it.
Next slide.
Are we ready? Are we
Oh.
ready to kick this things off? Are you guys ready to kick this off? Yeah?
Are we ready?
Okay.
Okay, since we do work with girls, we ask for a lot of participation. So we're gonna use the thumbometer, meaning you guys are ready to rock. Middle of the road means like, I'm a little nervous, but I'm here. And then the down thumbs is
Get off the stage.
Get off the stage, boo. I don't know how I'm feeling right now. Thumbometer, show us how you're feeling right now. Oh my gosh, look at you guys, you're so awesome.
I see some 2 thumbs up action over there. Let's go.
Oh, okay. All right, beautiful. So we are so excited to talk to you all today about how to live in the leap.
And what that means is to connect where you are right now with who you want to be. So this will be a conversation about goals, but it's going to be a conversation about goals done differently. So some of the points for today, you can read it up there if you'd like, but we're going to talk about how to show up as a human being, because that's what we are, not a human doing. We're going to talk about using choice on the quest to find your purpose and how that differs from your potential. We're going to examine experiences from our past and our present and change the question or the thought that these are happening to me to these things are happening for me. And we're going to see where we are now, whether where you are, where you want to be, or you're not, you're so far away from that point, as part of the journey to get there. Because I'd imagine you're like us. Right, we just hit July. July is gone. We're in August. How many of you got 8,000 emails about where you were because we were halfway through the year? Where are you with your goals? Where are you with your KPIs? Are you hitting things? How are you doing in your business? Are you there? You have 6 months left. How are we doing? We need to rejudge. We need to reevaluate. Was that just me? No?
Anybody
I'm seeing
else?
some head shakes.
Anybody else feeling the same way we are? We're like, oh my God, how did August already get here? I saw a meme the other day that said, okay, summer's over, and then pumpkin spice lattes are like, we're already thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God, I need to pull out my fall decor. It's August, but I'm thinking it's already October in my mind.
So goals, yes, goals are very important. Jill and I were on the way here. We even heard it on the radio. The great theologian from the book of John, Bon Jovi, was even singing about it. Yo, we're halfway there.
Oh, living on a prayer. And I'm pretty sure we might have queued up DJ Gary Allen. Can we have you guys stand up for just a moment?
We're going to be Coley.
Yep. Here it is.
Who knows the song? Who knows the song?
Oh.
He's halfway there. He's halfway there with his goals as well.
Oh, we're halfway there. Sing it. Oh, living on a prayer. Take my hand. We'll make it, I swear. Oh, living on a prayer.
Yes, I see you.
Okay, thank you. You know,
one of our core values is fun. We like to have fun with everything we're doing. So when Jill's mom gave her these neon cowgirl hats, we were like, how do we use these?
How do we use these?
It's a little too bright in here. They actually turn on. They're neon. So in a dark bar, we'd really be seen.
Which we're going to go to the bar later. Okay, so we're halfway through the year. Thank you. The theologian, you said? John?
I said the theologian, the great theologian, John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi.
The last time that we were with you guys, it was our last meeting. I think it was Sarah Samuel that was leading the financial conversation. Yeah. We stood up and asked for volunteers because, as Coley said, we had a summer camp to throw. We were a couple weeks out from throwing this summer camp, which we had really, really, really big goals for. We wanted to see nearly 300 girls through the doors of our summer camp. And you guys, we failed. We failed at doing that. And we're going to circle back around on that comment at the end. We promise we always land the plane. We might go a lot of different directions, but keep that in mind. Because setting that goal wound up not being the most important thing for us in this summer camp journey. So let's take another journey.
The picture of life. Does anybody else feel like this is you?
This guy?
Let's take a look at these points. And really, when I was writing these, we were like, let's just look at our own life, and I'm sure people can probably relate to us. So the picture of life, sometimes you feel like you're on a horse. You're going into battle. You're jousting life. Maybe there's too much to do at work, and you're under a really tight deadline. All together, we're going to say, on guard. Ready? On guard. Okay, maybe you slept poorly. You're sick or hormonal. You have to navigate a full day.
I heard a yep back there somewhere. So,
ready?
As the powerhouse woman herself says,
ready?
hand
On
tap
guard.
On yeah, on guard.
On guard. Okay, maybe handling people who challenge us in unexpected ways make you feel this way. On guard. And then last but not least, you have to figure out dinner. Work out.
Every night.
Every night. You have to love on those kids and your partner. On guard. So this is the true picture of life.
Of life as a mom, as life as an entrepreneur. It feels like we're going into a battlefield nearly every day.
So
who recognizes those two sweet faces? So one of the points that we brought up was how looking back towards what you've gone through has really propelled you to be where you are today. So we started with humble beginnings. This beautiful face right here, that's Jill. She's holding a sign that says adventurous. I'm holding a sign that says contentment. This is where our friendship really started. 2016, the Scottsdale Quarter Lululemon. I owned a CrossFit gym with 2 other business partners, and I don't know if you know what that looks like, splitting profits in thirds, but it's not very profitable. So I decided I needed to get a second job, and I thought, what better job to seek than one where I get to wear stretchy pants all day, every day. So Jill happened to be my general manager. She was the one who actually hired me. Were we friends back in the day there, Jill?
Well, no. However, when I first hired Mary, I'll never forget, and why I want to share this story is because I, as Mary's boss, I tried to keep a relationship with my employees that only stayed at work. I didn't like to have relationships outside of work that wasn't where people were on my level. So the only time that I got to spend time with my employees was when I was working with them. But when I first hired her, our interview was outside at the Scottsdale Quarter. And I remember meeting her immediately, and there was this presence about her. And then she told me a little bit more about her CrossFit gym and kind of the challenges that she was going through. And we may have been talking for about 5 minutes. And in my head, I was already picking up that essence, that presence that she was projecting without me even having to ask about her work experience. Then,
dun, dun, dun.
A woman.
Picture this, the Scottsdale Quarter splash pad.
It was. An older woman, probably in her 70s, trips and falls right in front of us.
Down the stairs.
She was behind me, so I didn't see it. And I'm asking Mary these questions. We're in an interview. And this one jumps out of her chair, cuts me off, and immediately goes and helps her up. And the interview, in my mind, stopped there, because I saw exactly who she was. I was like, are you kidding me? I can tell you everything you need to know about stretchy pants, but I actually can't teach you how to be a good person. So it was in that moment that I was like, okay, you're hired. And the journey of our relationship started there in 2016.
It was also in that moment that I expected Ashton Kutcher to pop out of the bush. I was like, am I being punked? Like, is this part of how you do things at Lululemon? She did ask me. She's like, did you
plant that woman? I'm like, oh, yes. Like she was going to take off her mask and it was a 20-year-old boy. Just kidding.
Okay, so a little quote from Mark Twain here. The 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day that you find out why. I want to go back to something Jill said about the interview process. I was talking to her about the challenges in my current business. I felt stuck. I felt like I had hit a ceiling where I was, and I was desperately seeking something else to pour my time and energy into. I didn't know that a few short years later, I would be selling that business and moving on to something else. But I also didn't know that I was in a season of refinement. what I was going through at that CrossFit gym was perfectly preparing me for what we're doing now within Girls Mentorship. So let me paint the picture. As the head coach at a CrossFit gym, I ran 8 classes a day. So, that first class was early. I was probably a little sleepy, but by 9, I had it rolling. My jokes were on point. By my last class, 6 o'clock, I was over it. I hated myself. I was telling the same joke to every class. They didn't know. They still thought it was funny, but I knew, right? So I'm running these classes. I'm exhausted. I'm not making the money I would like to make. Fast forward to now. Jill and I get a call a couple months ago to come down to a school and lead 6 seminar series for different grade levels. 6 in a row. I was like, okay, I got this. I literally spent the past 5 years coaching class after class after class that was in the same element. So circling back to that point of what are you going through right now, despite your goals, despite your KPIs, despite where you want to be in life, that's preparing you for the next chapter of your life.
And for me, Lululemon was life. I loved my job there. I was there for 10 years. And I also had 2 kids. I got married. I grew up in that company. And for me, I was so happy. And it wasn't until my little ones were getting a little bit older, and they looked at me the day after Christmas, and they were like, Mom, why do you have to go to this store? We just want to stay here and open presents with you. And I was like, in that moment, everything changed. It's like, okay, well, I love what I do, but I love my family more. Has anybody ever felt like that? Like they were stuck in this position of, I love what I'm doing, but it's maybe not serving me right now, and now what do I do? Has anybody ever been there?
And I'm going to touch back on the fact that she said she loved what she was doing, not who she was being for her kids in that moment.
Right. I loved what I did.
So we want to touch on what the difference between purpose and potential are, because a lot of us get caught up in what our potential is. Who here's been told they're good at something? Oh, you have a lot of potential in that. No one? Okay, we'll go home.
There were 4 hands that went up. Thank
4.
you for the 4 volunteers.
And that's great. You feel really good about that, right? It's like, oh, you're fast. You could probably go to the Olympics. Your potential is this. Then what happens along the way? It's like something distracts you. There's a cute boy or girl that walks by, and you're like, I'm not running today. I'm running after that, right? So when we don't hit our potential, when we don't hit what people say that we were capable of, we get down on ourselves. But our purpose is different than what our potential is. Our purpose is what we are called to do, what's in our bones, what keeps us up at night, what lights us up in the middle of a room. That's our purpose.
And I just want to make a quick call out on that. So when I was at Lululemon, my job was to develop my team through literally what we do at Girls Mentorship now, vision and goals, through communication, effective communication. There were things that I got trained on where then I got to go and train my team. I had this realization like, man, this is really cool stuff. I want to go to maybe other organizations and lead this work for them. So this was still when I was at Lululemon. I got asked to go into a real estate company. And they were like, can you come lead a vision and goals workshop for us? I was like, of course. So I did that, and I saw their faces. I saw the questions. I saw the aha moments. And it was that moment that that seed was planted. That I was like, what could I do if I did this outside of these 4 walls of Lululemon? The seed was planted. I had no idea that that seed would turn into Girls Mentorship.
Beautiful. Okay. So we're not saying that goal setting is bad. Please don't throw out your notebooks. If you're like me, you have 1,000 of them, 3 pages are written in them, and then you put them on your bookshelf and they get a little dusty, and you get a new goal book and you write some new goals, and then you don't follow through with them, and it is what it is. So we're not saying that goal setting is bad. We're asking you to look at who you're becoming along the way to those goals. And why we want to point out the difference of those things is because we've seen a couple of things happen within goal setting. Either you set that goal and you fall short and you start to feel less than. This is a picture of Jill leading 3 sweet faces, one of them being Audra, which is Lindsay's oldest daughter, during one of our workshops. We felt like we fell short during that particular workshop because only 3 girls came. It was like somebody let the air right out of the room. But we showed up for those 3 girls, just like we would with anything else, and we reevaluated. So falling short, feeling less than. Here's a picture of us at summer camp, which I alluded to this earlier. We hit the goal, a revised goal that we set for ourselves after we stood up here and told you we wanted 300 girls through the room. And we suffered from the goal hangover. Does anybody know what the goal hangover is? Yeah. You do this incredible thing and then you feel like shit afterwards. I mean, we're hot, we're humble, we're open, and we're transparent. I have felt like shit for the last 2 weeks because I did this really big, amazing thing, and then I'm like, okay, now what? Now what do we do? I'll throw a bonus one in there that's not up on that screen. Who here hits a goal and breezes right by it like nothing happened? Oh, quick draw. Yeah.
Or who's gotten married, and then the next day you're like, all of that planning went into that amazing day, and then you wake up and you're like, it's over. Just me? That's how I felt. I was like, yeah, oh my God. So it doesn't have to just be business, it can be personal as well. So that goal hangover is definitely real, and it's also a moment for you to pause and reflect.
Reflect on the fact that we are human beings. That's what we're called. That's the name of who we are. If we were supposed to be focused on what we were doing all of the time, the to-do list, getting things done, going to coffee appointments, hitting those KPIs, we'd be called human doings. So what's the difference? Who goals versus do goals? This is something that Jill and I bring into our coaching with our girls all the time. We don't want to know what they're going to be when they grow up or what they want to be when they grow up. We want to know who they want to be. We want them to focus on those characteristics because when and if they don't hit their goals or they suffer from that goal hangover, they're still going to know exactly who they are. So, question, how many of you were athletes in high school or college? Good show of hands.
Still, you guys can call yourself athletes now.
CrossFit athlete. How many of you lost your identity when you stopped playing that sport? I'm going to pull one from Lindsay over here. Lock the elbow out. Like, be proud of that. It's okay to raise your hand and say, yep, that was me. I absolutely felt that way after I stopped playing softball or volleyball or running track. And you probably spent a subsequent amount of time then trying to figure out who you were underneath that hat of an athlete.
I was going to say, even with your business, if you were to look at your business and 2 years goes by and you're like, what have I done? What have I done over the last 2 years? As opposed to saying, okay, who have I become? Have I become perseverant? Have I become resilient? Have I become determined? Have I been integral? Those are the things, because again, if we go back to that definition of purpose, it's what you're called to do. You're called, that we call them breadcrumbs, an opportunity. You jump to it, then it leads to another opportunity. The path to success is not, it's not laid out for us. So if we can remember when times are hard, that it's not about putting your head down and motoring forward, it's remembering who you've been to then advance to the next step.
So going back to my story about owning a CrossFit gym, I had 2 business partners in that. The ending didn't end so well. It was either me selling my portion of the gym or burning the gym down with 2 people inside. And I look good in pink. I don't look good in orange. So I decided the latter was going to be true. Now, if I looked at that season with disdain and I didn't pick the lesson from that season, that was a good 5.5, 6 years that I spent doing that, pouring my every being into that space, then I would probably go into a partnership blindfold. Right? I would probably go into another business and pick a partner who might do the exact same thing. At that point in time, I said to me. Now I know all of that happened for me. I know all of that happened for me because it led me to a beautiful business partnership with one of my best friends. We had known each other for a few years before we started to get into business with one another. We had no idea that this was going to happen. 2020 threw us all a curveball, and the curveball that it threw Jill and I was, hey, let's start a business. So in
champagne.
all of what you're doing, who are you becoming? And I know we've said it 15 times now. You have to realize we work with teenagers, so we have to repeat ourselves several times. Forgive us in that.
So in all that you're becoming, you get to decide how you show up. So being in choice is one of our favorite concepts that we like to teach our girls, and we're also going to bring back into this space. None of this is new, but it's a reminder, because if your head is down in this season, if your blinders are on and you're thinking about all of the things that you need to accomplish, this is your moment to pause and reflect and ask yourself, okay, how am I showing up in my attitude? How am I showing up in my effort, in my essence? Your essence in your relationships, in your business, with your kids, with strangers. How is your energy, your thoughts, of course, and most importantly, your words. So this is where you get to decide. And I'm going to use a quick example of my son last night. He was getting, I don't want to say bullied, but there were some words exchanged on the playground yesterday during basketball. And last night, he said to me, Mom, I'm not enough. I'm not enough for these kids to choose me to play on their team. And I was like, okay, do I want to freak out and go mama bear right now and find out where they live? Of course. But it was in that moment for me as a mom to put this concept into practice by saying, Brock, you know what? Tomorrow, you get to decide who you want to be. You get to decide if you want to exchange your energy with them. Tonight, I want you to give back their energy so tomorrow you can wake up and have your own. So as much as we're talking about business, we're talking about life. So you get to make an impact not only in the people that you serve, but you get to make an impact in our youth. You get to make an impact when you go to Starbucks and you smile at the barista. You get to be whoever you want to be by being in choice. And the more that we can practice this in this room, imagine the ripple effect when we all leave here today.
So basically what she was teaching Brock in that moment, laying the foundation for in that moment, was for him to ask this question. Is what happened on the playground yesterday happening to him? That is straight victim. I have been that for a lot of years in my life. It has taken me a long time, a lot of meetings, a lot of standing up and saying, hi, my name's Mary, I have a problem, to dismiss that. Because I can now look at, even though it's hard, I want to make sure I notate that, it is hard to look at it through the lens of, this is actually happening for me. All of the pitfalls, all of the times that I have fallen down, all of my disputes with business partners, all of my friendship breakups or my relationship breakups, every single thing has always happened for me in order to refine me to be the best person I could be in this season of my life, while I am spreading impact and influence to some of our most impressionable young leaders. It's always, always, always happening for you. It's never happening to you.
So let's hear from someone right now. Maybe it's the season that you're in right now, and you're like, man, I feel like I am standing in fire.
Or mud. Two totally different elements.
Two totally different elements. And I would love to hear what you're going through.
Who's my brave soul?
Can someone stand up and share with the group?
We got a hand.
Meredith.
We got a hand, Meredith. She said, give me the mic.
I'm going to run the mic. The mic runner.
Who in this room works with their significant other? I want to know who my people are that I got to go find.
Brianne is locking the elbow for sure.
Okay. I have never worked with my spouse. I never intended to work with my spouse. And by God's grace, I somehow am working with my spouse who is talented, who is amazing, who I appreciate more than anything, anyone in my whole world. And I treated him like shit this morning, like true dog meat. Truly took out all of my stress, anything that I was feeling pressure-wise for my business, and a long, long list of things that I have to do. And the first thing when I leave here is going to be apologize. But I think, right, this is so common, right? It's happening for me. He's just trying to help whatever's going on today, and I lashed out at him. It's not who I am. It's not who I want to be. It's not how I would show up for any other employee on my team. It is not how I would show up with anyone in business. And yet I treated him like that. And I'm sitting here listening, and I'm thinking, wow.
Okay, hold on before you go. This question is for you. It says, how has what you've gone through been your greatest teacher? Even if that was a spat this morning where you treated your husband like absolute dog shit.
Well, it turns out that I actually really prescribe to things are happening for you, not to you, in life. I think that's just a general great practice to believe. And I don't think that if I'd been going through what everybody in here owns a business. We all know the stresses, right? Your to-do list never goes down. It always increases. Anytime you set a goal or reach one, you're chasing the next one. And I think everything, I love the analogy of breadcrumbs, because breadcrumbs really is what it is. It's like you just kind of keep following the opportunities and hoping for ones and manifesting. We were just talking about manifesting, your dreams. And I think all of us can sit in this room. We didn't start having a business. We chose to have a business, and we've all brought things into our businesses that are our greatest guide, our great teacher of where we are today. So, anyway.
Thanks, Meredith.
I want to call out with her share, and thank you, Meredith, that we are not perfect people. We're not perfect. But if we can celebrate the progress, so we're going to make mistakes. We're going to yell at our husbands. We're going to yell at our kids. We're going to send a shitty email. It's part of being human. And what I love is knowing when you show up that way, that you're like, you know what? That's not who I am. And what I need to do now is go clean it up, because that's who I'm becoming. That's the person I am. So I just want to also call out that we're not standing up here saying, go out and be perfect people. We want you to be progressive people, people who are constantly a work in progress.
And a hot tip, I actually don't send shitty emails, because when an email comes in that I don't agree with, I leave it unread for Jill to deal with, because she is our director of people, and she is more apt to respond a lot kinder than me in the moment. Yeah. So get yourself a business partner that cleans up that type of shit, because you might spout off. If you're an Enneagram 8 like I am, you might spout off and say something that you regret later.
That's
so
true.
Get yourself a 2. Get yourself a 2, ladies and gentlemen. We've already touched on most everything on this slide, so I'll skip that first bullet point. You already know we're using this season to reveal purpose, those breadcrumbs. But what I really want to highlight here is, if we're not careful, we can make purpose a position in our life. When I get to be the CEO, when I make $500,000, when I get that new Range Rover, I will then be happy. And I'm not even going to ask for a show of hands, because I know every single one of them would go up. We're all guilty of that. That purpose totally creates who we are as a person, and that's not it. It's the quest for who we're becoming. So your value is not in what you're doing. Again, it is who you're becoming along the way to that journey. Meredith answered this question for us. Oh, see, Gary, it's doing it. It's doing it. I'm clicking it. It's clicking. I said, then it overclicked. Oh, boy. Okay, so Meredith, you answered this question beautifully for us. If we can all sit down, I mean, ideally, it would be cool to do this at the end of the day, every day. Did I show up in the way I said I wanted to show up? Were my intentions correct? And if they weren't, how do I rejudge and look at it again tomorrow? Because every day, I think Lindsay said this on our podcast, you get a new opportunity every single day. It's human nature to bring in the shit from yesterday. It's human nature to project that shit into tomorrow. But you get a new opportunity every single day to look at those intentions and try again if that wasn't what you meant to do in that day.
Okay, reminder. Remember them? Remember Jill and Mary in 2016?
The boss, the employee.
The boss, the employee. Never in a million years did we think we would be standing up here however many years later. What's the math? Thank you. 6 years later. Never. And we want to share something with you because these two girls were developing who they were becoming so we could be standing before you today. And every day in our business, we have moments where we celebrate the shit out of each other. We have moments that we're like, oh, that was a total God moment. Wow. And we want to share one of those moments because I want to highlight again, when I was working at Lululemon and I thought it was the end-all be-all, I never thought I would receive an email that we got. And we want to read this email to you.
Hi there. I work for a show on A&E, and I'm looking for some potential scholarship mentorship for 2 teenage girls of a drug-addicted mother. I'd love to have a conversation to see if your services might be a match for these 2 girls who have had a rough life. Would love to speak to you today or early next week. Thanks, Amira. If I know one thing about entrepreneurs, it's that we're good at sleuthing. We're good at finding answers. YouTube University is our best friend. We're on Google probably 74 times a day. So I was like, Amira, obviously there's a last name there, I won't share it. But I looked up this Amira person on LinkedIn. She happened to be the executive producer for a show called
Intervention. So the fact that this woman, who we've never met, ended up in our inbox, we would have never in our wildest dreams thought that this would be possible for us. If we would have continued to find potential and been distracted versus leaning into our calling of our purpose, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be in this position.
Or even thinking, going back to this slide right here, that I was an employee under Jill, that we could have never worked together because she was my boss. If I would have kept that hat on and not approached a conversation around when it felt right to start this thing called Girls Mentorship, we also would never be here. So fast forward to our text threads. Oh, I don't think anybody would really want to pull up your text threads and see what you text your partners. A lot of it looks like this.
What the fuck is happening? I was like, Mary, what the fuck? Like, right? Because we're still those girls in that picture. Yes, we've grown, but man, in moments where you're like, this shit is cool. What the hell is happening? That's when you know, that's when we have known that we've dropped in. We've dropped in to what we want to be doing, that we really feel like we are in this purposeful work. So,
not done yet. I told you I'd circle back around on that conversation that I first started with. I said, the last time you saw us, we were up here asking for volunteers. We wanted 48 girls through our camp each session. We had 6 sessions that amounted to 288 girls. Well, you know that entrepreneurship's a journey and you learn a lot through the process. What we didn't account for was the fact that we might need some helping hands or more helping hands with the fact that more girls were coming with each session. So, I mean, the need for volunteers continued to rise with each session. Some parents wanted to sit in. We had a videographer, we had photographers. We weren't mad that we didn't hit that goal because session 1 had 48 girls rush through that door. We would have lost our shit. We're probably wouldn't have led them through the best session. But the last session, session 6, we sold out. We were more than prepared to handle each different personality that came along with those 48 sweet little faces. We had amassed an incredible volunteer. I mean, we had 25 plus volunteers, a few of which are sitting in this room right now, and the sincerest heartfelt thank you goes out to you. We wound up having 140 girls through camp. This was our first time throwing a summer camp. You can clap for that.
Yeah.
Yes. We had 140 girls come through camp, and it blew our damn minds. We were able to prove to ourselves what we're now capable of in this business moving forward. And I think that's more important than hitting any goal ever. So ending with that, actually we have a few questions too. I'm premature.
Well,
thank you slide.
And if we're not friends, this is just a plug to follow us.
So pull out your phones, get on Instagram, type in Girls Mentorship. We're really funny. I'm not going to lie. I might be biased, but I am not a liar.
Next slide.
Next slide. Coley asked us to prepare a few questions.
Questions. But yes, last thing before we open the floor up to you all, thank you. Please know that we are proud of you for being in this room today, because truly I mean it when I say that all of us are going to go and leave better. We're going to be choosing better today, and for that, everyone's going to benefit. So we're rooting for you. We're proud of you, and thank you.
Who has a question for Mary and Jill?
Everyone. Wow, look at all
Come on, you guys are shy this morning. Yes.
What's next for Girls Mentorship?
What's next? Well, what we learned being in summer camp and meeting girls once a week, we actually met them twice a week. We had multiple touch points with them. We realized that we need to be offering more. We need to be not just once a month. We need to be creating something for them that serves more than just once a month. So we're ideating on fall programming, which we're announcing very, very soon, but we're gonna be taking this virtual. So we're gonna be doing in-person, which that's all we've been doing is in-person, but we see the potential and we can't just keep what we're doing local. We need to start thinking about scaling, and how we're gonna do that is taking it online. So you're gonna be seeing more of us potentially working with girls all over the country, if not the world. Hey! Wow, thank you. Thank you, Table One.
Okay, so I have two little girls of my own. So they're 2.5, but I want to just hear from what you guys are seeing with your girls. What would be like a powerful practice or intention that I could start kind of instilling in them now? Like any kind of, I don't know, practical advice for toddlers, toddler girls.
I'll let the mom say most of it, but I think from the very beginning, just hear them. I don't know what the stats are, but kids by the time they're like 5 hear the word no 72 times more than they hear the word yes, which I think paints a beautiful picture of what we're trying to protect, but don't ever shove their feelings aside. I think it can be very easy as a mom, as an entrepreneur, with what else you have going on, to be exhausted and to be tired and to brush off how they're feeling or what they're saying as not important, because what do they know? But at 2.5, they're experiencing things for the first time. As adults, we tend to forget what it was like when we were 5, obviously, when we were 10, when we were 15, to experience really big emotions for the first time. So make sure you're always creating space for them to come to you with their big feelings, with their emotions, with their highs, with their lows, because the more times they feel shut out by you, the less they're going to come to you as they get older.
I'm not part of this, but I had to jump in. I heard a comedian talk about kind of what you're saying. They're like, you know, like kids when they lose balloons and they like lose their shit, and you're like, it's just like I'm like rushing to try to get you to school or whatever. It's just a balloon, and the guy's like, hey, imagine that balloon with your wallet tied to it, and it just flies up. How would you react? It's like that's how they feel.
Totally, it is true.
We'd all lose our shit too.
A practical, especially with littles, and then I'll get to, we call them like littles, middles, and bigs. For the littles, practicing gratitude as well as failure. So a game that we like to practice is Peach and Pit or Rose and Thorn. So what was the highlight of their day? What was maybe the not so great part of their day? To start recognizing that even if they had something that didn't go well, it's still okay. For my older kids, on their chore chart, not only do they have chores, but they have to say what they're grateful for and one thing that they failed at every day. We want to foster a culture of failure in our house because failure is most likely going to happen for them every single day. So as opposed to it ripping and tearing their self-esteem apart, it's like, hey, let's celebrate that. Let's just kind of shift the narrative. So something practical to take away too.
Oh, we got a Jenny in the back.
Jenny from the
Hold on, I'm coming. Hold on. Last time I did this on heels, I fell over, so I got my flats on today.
All right, two-part question for both of you. So first part, what's the most fulfilling aspect of your partnership? Second, what's the biggest hurdle?
Like I said earlier, fun is a core value of ours. And we are two very funny people. Again, I'm not saying that because I'm me and I'm biased. We're very funny, and that makes hard days a little easier to stomach. When I can drop a random joke when the air is thick, like you can cut it with a knife, and I drop a dumbass joke and we can just cry laughing, that really, really, really helps ease a lot of the tension. So we have to know that it's not as serious as we're making it, and that we can literally overcome any hurdle that comes our way, knowing that it's not as serious as we make it.
biggest hurdle. Well, oh, am I doing the hurdle? I was also gonna share what I love about our partnership. Honestly, for me, though, as I worked in retail most of my life, and I love the team dynamic. So I was a solopreneur for a couple of years prior to a partnership with Mary, and she was the missing piece that I needed. I needed that team dynamic. I don't do well thinking by myself. I don't want to be left alone with my own thoughts. So when she came in, it was like, and it's been full steam ahead ever since. However, the hurdles, I mean, you guys, we're not standing up here being like, we've made it. Yesterday, we were literally crying on the phone together, being like, we are working our asses off, and we feel like we should be further faster. Anybody relate to that? Yeah, we literally yesterday, in tears, both of us.
See what I mean?
Jokes.
Don't you wish you could actually work your ass off? That'd be kind of cool.
So the hurdle that we have to overcome is success. Like, we're overcoming needing to be at a certain point to equal success, when it's like, man, remember, we're practicing this just as much as us telling you this. We're becoming who we know we are, but we have to go through the valleys in order to climb the mountaintop.
And I think another portion of that, Jill and I have spent a lot of time individually working on who we are outside of our business partnership and outside of our friendship. So when spats come up, because they do and they will, we're able to come together quicker based on the fact that we've put in years and a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort on refining this package and this package. And yes, some of that includes going to the gym and squatting, like the physical portion of it. But honestly, I don't know that this would work if we hadn't spent the time pouring into our own selves prior to even coming together in a relationship as business partners.
And I think that's true even if you are a solo entrepreneur, right?
Oh,
like
yes.
if you have a team or you are working by yourself, like your personal development spills into
You have to
success.
lead yourself first before you can lead anybody else, especially teenagers, because man, they see right through your bullshit. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Okay, we are out of time for questions, but they are gonna be hanging around. So if you guys have any questions afterwards, they will be around. Awesome, look at you. You guys are so prepared. I love it so much.
It's part of what we do.
So do adults, right? I mean, let's go. We will also put this on the website for you so you guys can, I know I saw a bunch of people taking pictures of it. You're never going to look at those pictures. So we'll put it on the website so you can go back and refer to those as well. I mean, right at the end of the day, I have like 50 pictures. I'm like, I thought I took a picture of that.
You're like, whoa, a year later, that was good.
Right?
I see why I took a picture of that.
Great wisdom there. All right, so if you are new around here, one of the things we do after first of all, let's give a round of applause. Thank you guys. That was amazing. Thank you. We like to really take some time to discuss around our table as well. So you have heard a lot of information. So we always ask a couple questions. They're overachievers. We asked for 2 questions. They gave us 3. So just do what you have time for. But we'll also dive into this deeper in your next mastermind, which is next week. Next week. Normally 2 weeks, but because we're a week late in August. So next week is your first mastermind. If you signed up, we will send you all the information this week. You'll have that. If you haven't signed up, go do that. You will not want to miss out on that. But we'll dive into this a little bit deeper, but just kind of do a brief run around in your on your table with these questions. So number 1, recognize 1 or 2 social and leadership skills you have developed. Identify 1 leader who has inspired or influenced you in your leadership. And why are you special, and how do you set yourself apart? So true. Okay, so you guys have a few minutes to discuss. All right, thank you guys so much. That was amazing. We'll leave these up so you guys can see them too.